Hey cats and kittens, Dwayne Lay with the LeanHRBlog coming to you, part 3 of the 3-part series from Extreme HR and Chris Ponder, career questions being a storyteller. So, today's question, and I haven't read this yet, so this is right off the top. Based on your profession and career that we talked about in question 1 and 2, which you haven't seen already, you can probably scroll up the page and find them. Have the past 3 years impacted your career and the way you operate? Good golly, have they ever. The economy especially, right, it's impacted all of us. But when you work in Lean Six Sigma and HR, you know, this is fed right into my wheelhouse, right? I mean, our whole story is about process improvement and savings. And so we've been very fortunate to get attention in this time, which is a little backwards in my opinion. To me, the real power of Lean and Six Sigma and process excellence comes when things are good and you can really handle a large volume of work without having to add a lot of people and to really ramp up and without adding a lot of cost. So I'm really hopeful that the work we've done will be real valuable to the organization going forward, and that we'll hold on to those gains that we've made and not backslide at all. Have they made me reevaluate or want to change my career? Gosh. Not so much changing my career, but it has really driven home the power of social media. Up until about 6 months ago, I wasn't real engaged in it. And actually, HR Tech in Chicago is where it all started. You know, I met some wonderful people there, and I'm not going to list you by name because I know I'll leave somebody out and then I'll feel horrible. So you know who you are, and you know how much I treasure that connection. So, you know, it's not really a change in profession, but it is a little bit change of focus. It's looking beyond your own desk, right? It's looking beyond your day job, like I call it. You know, the work we're doing here is very important to the organization. But there's more. There's a bigger community out there of people who I'm not going to say is going to benefit from my attention by any means, but that I can benefit from paying attention. So I think that from that perspective, yeah, it's been absolutely critical to go through, and it's been an absolute boon for my career. Are you operating in your career with less? Gosh, I don't think so. I feel like I've actually gotten more, and the more has come from the networking opportunities and the social interactions, which honestly for the most part are free. You know, there's almost no cost of entry to social media at this point. Twitter accounts, Skype, you know, webcams are almost given away. So if you're not into it, you should be. Of course, if you're watching this, you probably are. But if you know people who aren't, you should try to pull them in because we need their voices. And there's so many great ideas out there and so many people that aren't part of it that I think could be. The power of social media I don't think has been harnessed yet for most companies. You know, I see the work we do in recruiting. I compare the cost to of job boards, of all the advertising we do, all the money we spend trying to recruit candidates, and then I look at the freeness of social media and the power of building those connections very quickly and being able to reach a huge audience, and I just don't understand why we're not using both of those tools to the best of their abilities. I think there might be different audiences there, but when you've got an audience you can reach for almost free, you know, it seems silly not to go after that. So, you know, I would say that if we're doing it with less, it's by choice, because there are things out there that we can accomplish without spending as many resources. Development. Individuals should take charge of their development both personally and professionally. What am I doing to develop myself this year? Well, I am the biggest proponent you will find in managing your own development. Nobody cares about your career the way you do. So I mentioned in one of the earlier videos that I'm a certification junkie, and in fact I finished my SPHR on my own. I just kind of decided to do it. So this year I'm looking at the GPHR. Again, I don't know how relevant it is to my world, but I want to get it because that's just kind of how I am. Beyond that, it's looking at crystallizing more of my thoughts, specifically on the blog, looking at LeanHR, looking at the tools. I think that a big realization I made this year, coming into this year anyway, is that it's easy to complain and to criticize HR for not getting it, right? For not doing things differently, for not being better, for not being more efficient, for not thinking strategically, for not being satisfied with the status quo. But a blog that just complains about those things does no good unless there's a way to help. unless there's a way to answer the criticisms. So my focus this year for the blog is really to not talk about how I wish HR was better. Instead, I really want to talk about lean tools, Six Sigma tools, things that can be implemented in HR, and specifically look at how to implement them, giving some suggestions, some examples, things I've seen in the past, things that work. So that's, I think for me, not only is my focus, but that's my developmental piece, right, is being able to do those things, really focus more on it, develop the materials more, and share those out with the world. I know that I learn more when I'm sharing it. So for me, that's the biggest thing that I want to work on this year. Next step in my career, good golly. So the problem with not having an HR background is it's tough to know if you have a future in HR, right? Now, I really believe that businesses are starting to understand that the value that HR can bring is not in writing dress codes and buying birthday cakes. It's really more about understanding the cost of running the operation, about getting the talent where it needs to be, and about enabling the organization to meet the strategic business goals. So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's room for advancement in HR to do those things. I'm also really geeked up about the conference circuit this year for getting to present at a few of them and share my ideas. I've got a couple of ebooks that I'm slating up to go out this year, and maybe even something in print. Stay tuned. So, for me, those are big things, and that's not really, corporate career advancement. That's just, developing my own skills and my own circle a little bit. For those who want to enter the profession, what advice can you provide them? Don't come into HR with blinders on, okay? Spend some time in other areas, even if it's begging for a 3-month assignment somewhere. Understand what's happening outside of your walls. Go see what the other professions are doing. Go see what the other functional areas are looking for. Learn how to read a business plan. Learn how to problem solve and find, root cause, and how to drill down into metrics and drill down into processes and how to pull them apart. Now, I might be a little biased by saying that, but I think that's where we can really offer the most value, is not propagating the sins of the past and really learning how to ask the right questions, find the right answers, and implement them. That would be my advice. Come into HR with some non-HR skills, because we desperately need them. I've admittedly in the past thought, gosh, this whole generalist thing is just nonsense. There's not a lot of value there, and I was absolutely wrong. There are generalists out there and people I work with who are brilliant and who do really, really good work I can't do because I don't have their background, and that's okay. We need both sides of it. We need the soft side and the hard side. So don't be afraid of those things. If you've got a real passion for helping people develop themselves and helping solve problems or labor relations or compensation, if you've got a passion for those things, follow it. But come in with some other skills. Go learn some other things before you dive into it full time. Your time will be rewarded, and your business partners will be grateful that you have that ability, and you will be a much stronger partner for it. So that's part 3. I think we're done. Thanks to Chris and to Extreme HR for hosting this series. It's been a lot of fun to think about and to get recorded. So I look forward to seeing everyone else's answers. I've been very careful not to look at anything until I was done. So once again, thanks very much. Hope to see you out on LeanHRblog.com.